Always great to see young players getting their opportunity, and he's a great example, really, isn't he, of the importance of the pyramid in English football. I mean, you went out and loaned as a youngster non-league football, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
And it helpful?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can't all burst through like Micheal Owen. I think there's many different ways to make it as a footballer, and I found it really beneficial. I went out on league. I wasn't getting anywhere near at the first team. I was 17, and you realise just how lucky you are. And I think some players think they're playing in big games when they're playing under 23 games. They might be playing for Liverpool against Everton and think they're playing in big games. You know, Man United, they're a bit of a crowd there, and I think it's just not a big game. Going down there and playing, people are paying for their mortgages, and you know, people are trying to get into the league to go professional, and they are big games to them, you know. And I felt that, and I realised that, you know, I know what I wanted to be, and I think it's nice for him to have done that as well. And I think he's getting the rewards now.
I think an important part of that interview with Klopp there, when he said about you can throw a young 19-year-old into the first team, you just don't know how they're going to react. And it doesn't matter what ability you've got sometimes and where you're from. A lot of it's up here. Have you got the mental capacity to take it on and to be able to deal with the situation and the environment you're thrown into? And do you find it then comfortable and to be able to adjust and bring your level up to that? And that's the questions that are going to be asked of him. And this is a fantastic game for him, because a lot of questions will be asked of him defensively, positionally. It might not be a physical battle today. It's going to be positionally where he goes. Will he be dragged out of position because of the rotations that we'll see later on? So, big ask, but they've got the confidence in him, and he's got to go out there.
As someone who did, like Peter said, you know, you were banging in the goals for Liverpool's first team when you were about 11, or it felt like it. What do you think it is, the difference between players at that age that can cope and that can't cope?
Well, I think it's a mentality thing a lot of the time. If you're, you know, mature enough to go into a men's environment, I think it's very different nowadays to get into a first team now.
Harder, do you think?
Oh, much harder. I think it's chronically underused, the loan system. I think it brings people... Look at the England team. Look how many of our players... Everyone. Virtually, only Rashford probably that didn't. But you look at Harry Kane had half a dozen loans. I mean, everybody's been on loan nowadays. It's impossible to get into these first... Who's going to knock Mo Salah out the team? Or Sadio Mane out the team? I mean, it's impossible. So, and I really admire Rhys Williams, because he's humble enough to think, OK, you know, he's bear in mind he walks around with a Liverpool crest on, you know, with his tracksuit on most days. Then all of a sudden, to go that far down the pyramid, you know, it's... Your status, you know, with all your mates and things like, no, I want to be a professional footballer. This will give me a good ground. And as Crouchy said, the benefits to him. It's vital that these players nowadays get out of this 23 football. It's glorified under 16, under 18 stuff. It's the same that they've been doing for 5, 6, 7 years. Need to get out there, get men's football, get experienced football. And I take my hat off to him, because I think he's gone out and done it the hard way.
A lot of it's their ego, though, isn't it? A lot of it's the kids' ego. They sit there and go, I'm not going to leave that big crest on my chest there and go down 2-3 leagues. They just think that it's a status they've got to keep it up on social media, etc.
You know, it's hard to leave a big fancy changing room, isn't it? And go down there and play week in, week out, Tuesday, Saturday on bad pitches. But it's so beneficial.